up-to-date news, selected Delaware's best newscast by the Delaware Press Association. Renovation of the Wilmington Housing Authority's Kennedy Apartments has been completed. The 24 three-bedroom units are ready to accept families that are preparing for home ownership. The $1.8 million project was funded with over $1 million in federal housing and urban development grants, as well as $250,000 in safety upgrades paid for by the city. The complex once consisted of two buildings that had become a strain on the neighborhood.
The community actually was the impetus in getting us to look at it differently, but also when the city completed the Presswick right next door, we decided to try to mirror some of the stuff they had done there. But the critical thing about this building was to make sure it was manned 24 hours a day. It now will feature a central monitoring system manned 24 hours a day, but it also is linked to the Crestview building across the street and Evans House building. They all fall under one management piece. Our assistant manager actually lives in the Presswick, and we expect this to be a building that folks can move into, pursue home ownership, and hopefully move on to home ownership from this building.
Sitting on the corner of 28th and Tatnall Streets, the Kennedy Apartments are now joined by a central entrance designed to increase security for the buildings. Residents who live in the apartments will be required to take home ownership classes and must agree to keep the buildings tobacco-free. The Kennedy Apartments are the first WHA property to ban smoking in the building. Earlier this summer, a federal judge ruled that certain gun restrictions imposed by the Wilmington Housing Authority are constitutional.
We then modified our policies to basically give ourselves the ability to manage firearms within our units, and also to prohibit them in some of the common areas. As some of you know, we have community rooms in most of our high-rises. We also have some daycare centers. We have a couple of doctor's offices who operate within our buildings. The NRA, on behalf of a WHA resident whose name is listed, and a resident of the Parkview, which is a building we manage but do not own, brought a direct suit against just the Wilmington Housing Authority, and we therefore had to defend that in court. I'm pleased to say that, I guess last week, Judge Stark of Delaware District Court ruled in favor of the Housing Authority. There's a summary of the decision, a summary of the lease provision that we have fully implemented. This is precedent setting. I happen to have been at the National Housing Convention when this ruling came down, and there were several other housing authorities throughout the country that are waiting for this decision. It basically gives us the ability to provide a safer, more regulated firearm policy within our properties.
The ban prohibits residents from openly carrying firearms in common areas of public housing buildings, and it is part of the lease agreement with the renter. And also, it extends to visitors on the premises.
Because this is an amendment to our lease, it does put the onus on the head of household. So if you allow a visitor into your apartment who has a weapon, then yes, you are subject to eviction under the terms of this policy.
The Wilmington Housing Authority was forced to defend in court an outright ban on guns within its properties. The WHA amended the prohibition to include only the common areas of the buildings. According to Director Purnell, it cost the WHA nearly $500,000 in legal fees to defend the ban. Currently, National Rifle Association supported attorneys are challenging Judge Stark's decision. An appeal has been filed asking for a review of the ruling by the U.S. Third Circuit Court of Appeals.